Hello everyone, this is Dr. Anjali Srivastava, retired zoology professor, and this is my YouTube channel Adarsh Alia, a platform created in memory of my son Adarsh, a senior Googler official, and the platform is created to help the students who want to learn. Today my topic is the systematics and taxonomy, the basic concept definition and their role in biology. As I have told earlier also, the topics that I'm discussing in my videos are the topics requested by my MSc semester 1 and semester 4 students of my college, and as they are supposed to appear in their semester end examinations by May end. So whatever topics they are asking to discuss, we are discussing those topics. So today's topic is systematics and taxonomy, and the third related topic is the biological classification. Actually, they have requested to discuss both all these topics: the systematics, taxonomy, and biological classification. The biological classification will be my next topic to discuss after this discussion, that is systematics and taxonomy. So to start with the systematics and taxonomy, systematic and taxonomy both are the synonymous words जो सुनने में और मीनिंग वाइज बिल्कुल एक तरह के हैं, और इनको हम यूज करते हैं लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स को कैटेगराइज करने के लिए, उनको डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स में रखने के लिए, सिंपल टर्म में उनको क्लासिफाई करने के लिए। हम अपने स्टडी के लिए साइंटिस्ट ने या जो भी सिस्टमेटिक्स में इंटरेस्टेड हैं, बहुत एंशिएंट समय से ही कैटेगराइजेशन का प्रोसेस शुरू हो गया फ्रॉम द वेरी बिगनिंग टाइम ऑफ अरिस्टोटल एंड प्लेटो एंड हिप्पोक्रेट्स, व्हेन they were instead of being some scientists or some biologists, they were the monks and the saints who were residing in their monks and much, जहाँ पर वो आसपास के एनवायरनमेंट में लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स को स्टडी करते रहे, और अपने स्तर पे उन्होंने कुछ ऐसे इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर किए जिनको बाद में रिकॉल किया गया, नॉट एग्जैक्टली इन दैट टाइम. So let us come to our main topic, that is the systematics and taxonomy. Systematic और taxonomy, जैसा हमने कहा, बेसिक कंसेप्ट में हम ये कह सकते हैं कि ये वो दो टर्म्स हैं जो एनिमल्स को या प्लांट्स को और लिविंग बीइंग्स को, अब तो एनिमालिया को या लिविंग बीइंग को कैटेगोरिकली 3 ब्रॉडर कैटेगरीज में रखा गया है, प्लांट्स, एनिमल्स एंड माइक्रो ऑर्गेनिजम्स. तो जितने भी हैं लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स, उनको अच्छे से जानने के लिए, अच्छे से समझने के लिए एक प्रोसेस शुरू किया गया, जिनमें कि कैटेगराइजेशन शुरू किया. कुछ कैरेक्टर्स कॉमन हैं, उनके बेसिस पर लिविंग बीइंग्स को, ऑर्गेनिजम्स को डिफरेंट डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स में रखना शुरू किया गया, और इसी प्रोसेस को ब्रॉडर टर्म में हम कह सकते हैं कि सिस्टमैटिक्स कहा गया. दैट इज सिस्टमेटिकली अरेंज किया गया, और फिर फर्दर साइंटिस्ट ने, बायोलॉजिस्ट ने और सारे टर्म्स के बेसिस पर उनको डिवाइड किया, एंड देन द टर्म हैज बीन इवॉल्व्ड एज टैक्सोनॉमी. So altogether we can say that taxonomy is the classification of taxa. Taxa is the unit of classification. Organisms को different जिन groups में रखा गया, as a whole उनको एक taxa कहा गया. That is, the singular is taxon and the plural is taxa. और उन that is so it is tell that taxa may be considered as the unit of classification in a system that expresses their relationship. एक ग्रुप जिसमें ग्रुप के मेंबर्स का कोई रिलेशनशिप बताते हैं, वो एक ग्रुप बनाया गया, और वैसे ग्रुप्स में जिनको रखा गया उनको टैक्सा कहा गया. And the systematics is a comparative study of a systematic unit, that is a broader unit, a group of organisms or species, and higher the fact-finding field of taxonomy or phylogeny of specimen. उस specimen को खाली उसकी ग्रुपिंग ही नहीं की गई, उसके अलावा उसकी इवोल्यूशनरी हिस्ट्री पढ़ी गई, वो इवोल्यूशनरी ट्रेन में वो कहाँ स्टैंड करता है, और उसकी फाइलोजेनी क्या है, दैट इज एंसेस्ट्री क्या है, कहाँ से वो ओरिजिनेट किया, और आगे फ्यूचर कहाँ तक उसका कंसेप्ट डिस्कस किया जा सकता है. तो एज ए होल, जैसा यहाँ पे आपको दिखाई दे रहा है, सिस्टमेटिक इंक्लूड्स ऑर्गेनिज्म. जब हम उसकी स्टडी करते हैं तो उसकी टैक्सोनॉमी पढ़ते हैं. टैक्सोनॉमी के बाद आता है क्लासिफिकेशन, नोमेनक्लेचर एंड मॉर्फोलॉजी, एंड देन आगे जाकर के और भी ब्रांचेज ऑफ बायोलॉजी से रिलेट करके कैटेगराइजेशन शुरू किया गया, सो दैट द ओवरऑल दैट era may be referred as systematics, whereas the taxonomy is comparatively or relatively a shorter term and or discipline classified, that is classifying organisms into taxa, and it governs the practices of naming, describing, identifying, and specimen preservation. That is classification plus nomenclature, that is जिस स्पेसिमेन का जिस ऑर्गेनिजम्स का को आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं उनकी नॉमेनक्लेचर कैसे उनको साइंटिफिकली नाम उनका नामकरण जो होता है दैट इज कॉल्ड ए नॉमेनक्लेचर, वो इंक्लूड करके बनाता है टैक्सोनॉमी। जबकि सिस्टमेटिक्स थोड़ा ब्रॉडर एरिया है, that is a broader field of biology that studies the diversification of species, and it governs the evolutionary history and phylogenetic relationship in addition to taxonomy. So taxonomy plus phylogeny is systematics, whereas the classification is taxonomy. Now these are certain terms that comparatively दोनों terms को एक साथ कैसे explain करते हैं. The term systematics is referred synonymously with term taxonomy. Synonymous terms and systematics and taxonomy, but taxonomy is plainly referred to identification, classification, and naming, whereas systematic is the evolutionary history of organisms through time. Both terms are two concepts related to study of diversification of living forms and their relationship through time, that is phylogenetic relationship. समय के साथ जो डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स हैं, आगे के ग्रुप्स, पहले के ग्रुप्स, और इवोल्यूशनरी कंडीशंस उनके क्या हैं और आसपास के ग्रुप्स के साथ उनका रिलेशनशिप क्या है, ये सारा एक साथ डील करता है सिस्टमैटिक्स। जबकि उस ऑर्गेनिज्म को किन किन कैटेगरीज में कन्फाइन किया गया है, दैट इज द क्लासिफिकेशन उनका कैसा किया गया है, दैट इज टैक्सोनॉमी. So, in broader term, the systematic ascertained sharing of common ancestry by different organisms, and taxonomy, different organisms are scientifically named and grouped. So this is the basic comparison. Organisms grouped based on their evolutionary relationship, taxonomy. Systematics and taxonomy is a branch of systematics. Both taxonomy and systematics use morphology, behavioral science, genetics, and biochemical observations. इन दोनों ही सिस्टम्स में टैक्सोनॉमी हो या सिस्टमेटिक्स हो, यहाँ स्पेलिंग थोड़ा सा डिफरेंट गलत है. दिस शुड बी SYS, द स्पेलिंग इज रॉन्ग हियर, दिस विल बी SYS. सिस्टमेटिक्स यूज मॉर्फोलॉजिकल, बिहेवियरल, जेनेटिक्स एंड बायोकेमिकल ऑब्जर्वेशंस. बायोलॉजी के जो दूसरे ब्रांचेस हैं उनको दोनों ही टर्म्स इंक्लूड करते हैं कैटेगराइजेशन के लिए, कॉमन कैरेक्टर्स फाइंड आउट करने के लिए. Taxonomy are based on providing a hierarchical relationship. Now, hierarchical relationship means that is a hierarchy can be defined as system having many levels from lowest to highest. कई एक लेवल्स पर कैटेगराइजेशन जब होता है तो लोएस्ट से हाईएस्ट की तरफ जब बढ़ते हैं तो दैट इज हायरार्किकल रिलेशनशिप, दैट इज कॉल्ड. और इस हायरार्किकल रिलेशनशिप का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंस है टैक्सोनॉमिक एक्सप्लेनेशन में. Whereas the classification is basic tool describing relationship between grouping items according to one or two or more common attributes, and that is the taxonomy. So, summarizing the two terms, we can say similarities of the two terms are both study diversification and relationship of living organisms. Both are involved in characterizing organisms, and both use morphology, behavior, genetics, and biochemical observations. Whereas the difference is taxonomy involves classification and naming, systematic is involved in determination of evolutionary relationships. Systematics ascertain sharing of common ancestry by different organisms, whereas in taxonomy, different organisms are scientifically named and grouped in different taxonomic levels. That is, the shorter term is taxonomy, broader aspect is systematics. Now, the two common points we have already seen many times, that taxonomy may be considered as a branch of systematics, but both use morphological, behavioral, genetical, and biochemical observations. This is definition-wise, in one line, we can say systematics is the study classifying living organisms on basis of evolutionary relationship and phylogeny. यहाँ पर you can add phylogeny also, whereas taxonomy describes the naming and classifying of organisms. So this is the together study of systematics and taxonomy, we can say. Now, the another aspect is the role of systematics and taxonomy in biology. बायोलॉजी में हम देख रहे हैं कि दोनों ही ग्रुप का काम है बायोलॉजिकल स्टडीज ऑर्गेनिजम्स का करने में, ये हेल्प करते हैं और कैसे एक दूसरे को को रिलेट करते हैं ऑर्गेनिजम्स को डिफरेंट ग्रुप्स के साथ, डिफरेंट ब्रांचेस के साथ. So one by one let us see the systematics. अगर हम अलग अलग दोनों का characteristics देखें, दोनों का importance देखें, so let us see one by one. The systematics is derived from Latinized Greek word systema, a system of classification developed by Carolus Linnaeus in 4th edition of his historical book Systema Naturae in 1735. This is the history of systematics. आप कह सकती हैं systema word से systematics evolve किया कैरोलस लीनियस ने एक बुक में जिसका नाम था सिस्टेमा नेचुरी, जो बहुत फेमस हुआ था, और उसके 4th एडिशन को हिस्टोरिकल इंपॉर्टेंस मिला, हिस्टोरिकल रिकॉग्निशन मिला 1735 में. और इस तरह से लीनियस को इस बुक के लिए और इस बुक में डिस्क्राइब डिटेल्स के लिए फादर ऑफ टैक्सोनॉमी कहा गया, क्योंकि ये पहला कैटेगराइजेशन था जिसको बहुत ज्यादा ऑथेंटिसिटी मिली, बहुत ज्यादा रिकॉग्नाइज किया गया. Now the systematics is related to phylogenetic cladistic naming and classification of organisms. Now again the term is coming here, cladistic. The cladistic explains the classification based on branching of different lineages from a common ancestor. This cladistic study is again related to the systematics. A common ancestor से कैसे different groups evolve हुए हों, वो हो जाता है क्लाडिस्टिक categorization or the naming, and that is after that the classification of organism is done. That is the systematics. Systematics does not show any change with further studies. Evolutionary history is involved here. Study of systematics directly involves environmental conditions as well as phylogeny. It does not change with time. That is the repetition we have already seen. So these are the important characteristics of systematics. Now the levels of systematics. Systematics of an organism can be divided into 3 closely related and overlapping levels of taxonomy, or rather classification. 3 levels systematics के identify किए गए हैं: taxonomic, evolutionary and phylogenetic. Tripartite स्ट्रक्चर बनाया गया सिस्टमैटिक्स का. पहला हो गया टैक्सोनॉमिक, दैट इज द क्लासिफिकेशन ग्रुप बेयरिंग लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स टुगेदर बेस्ड ऑन शेयर्ड ट्रेट्स. पहले तो उनको कैटेगराइज किया गया ग्रुप्स में जिनमें कुछ कैरेक्टर्स हों, और उन कैरेक्टर्स के बेसिस पर उस क्लासिफिकेशन को पर्टिकुलर नेम दिया गया. फॉर एग्जांपल कुछ ऐसे एनिमल्स जो सारे एग्स ले करते थे और स्केल्स बॉडी पे था, उनको रेप्टिलिया में रखा गया. एनिमल्स गिविंग बर्थ टू यंग वंस एंड हैविंग फर, उनको मैमल में रखा गया. मोर स्पेसिफिकली अब अगर हम मैमल को और स्पेसिफाई करें, ज्यादा आगे बढ़ें, तो ह्यूमन दैट शेयर कॉमन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक बिलोंग टू अ ग्रुप और टैक्सॉन ऑफ जीनस होमो एंड स्पीसीज सैपियन. तो ये फाइनल स्टेज ऑफ क्लासिफिकेशन है स्पीसीज के लेवल तक, जिसमें कि मैन को 2 और ज्यादा स्पेसिफिक ग्रुप्स में बांधा गया. पहले को कहा गया जीनस, जिसमें बहुत कैरेक्टर्स काफी सारे कॉमन थे, और उनसे भी ज्यादा कॉमन कैरेक्टर्स वाला ग्रुप बनाया गया, दैट इज सैपियन, and that has been named as the human species, or the man has been referred as Homo sapiens. So this is how the nomenclature has been done. Now the evolutionary level of systematic is how the organisms are evolutionarily related. Evolution के लेवल पे evolutionary tree में वो कहाँ stand करता है वो organism, वो हो गया second level of systematic. And the third level is phylogenetic classification, जिसको हम कॉमन अदर टर्म्स में, जैसे इसके पहले हम लोग देख चुके हैं, अफिनिटीज भी, आगे पीछे के एंसेस्ट्री कैसी है, किस किस ग्रुप से उसको रिलेट कर सकते हैं, दैट इज द फाइलोजेनेटिक details are related along with the evolutionary relations. So by looking each organism's gene, it is known that gorillas, this is the example, taxonomic term, are more closely related to humans than they are related to other animals, for example cockroaches. So this is the example how कैसे ancestry को हम study करते हैं. गोरिल्लास की एंसेस्ट्री को अगर हम स्टडी करें तो वो ज़्यादा क्लोज रिलेटिवली ह्यूमन के या होमो सैपियन के पाए गए हैं. Now this is tripartite nature of systematics, that is तीन मेजर हिस्से हैं systematics के, taxonomy और classification, then evolutionary processes की study और phylogeny की study. Taxonomy में classification में के जो processes हैं या activities associated with classification are the individual को identify किया गया, उसका taxon दिया गया उनको, वो कैटेगरी बनाई गई, उसके बाद उनको नॉमेनक्लेचर किया गया, दैट इज आइडेंटिफिकेशन, देन क्लासिफिकेशन, देन कैटेगराइज, देन नॉमेनक्लेचर. ये एक्टिविटीज हैं टैक्सोनॉमी के. Then are the evolutionary processes, source of variability, organization of genetic variability in population, differentiation of population, reproductive isolation and origin of species, and hybridization. These are the प्री एंड पोस्ट डार्विनिज्म एक्टिविटी, जिसके बेसिस पे स्पीसीज का ओरिजिन कहाँ तक कैसे हुआ और उनके हाइब्रिडाइजेशन कैसे स्टडी की गई, दैट इज द मॉलिक्यूलर लेवल ऑफ इवोल्यूशन. All these are included in this evolutionary process. And then the final is the study of phylogeny, that involve divergence and or development of all groups, that is their mode, their time, and their place. So this is the tripartite widened nature of systematics. So this was the systematics and the branches involved in systematics. Now this is the branches of systematics. Systematics को new systematics or the modern सिस्टमेटिक्स को तीन ब्रांचेज में डिवाइड कर सकते हैं: न्यूमेरिकल सिस्टमेटिक्स, बायोकेमिकल सिस्टमेटिक्स एंड एक्सपेरिमेंटल सिस्टमेटिक्स. न्यूमेरिकल systematics, as the name says, is based on biostatistical method in identification and classification of animals. This branch is called biometry. ये आज के समय में ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंस है इसका, रिसर्च में, थीसिस में, स्टडीज, रिसर्च रिलेटेड स्टडीज में बायोमेट्री, मीन, मीडियन, मोड, तीन इम्पोर्टेंट बहुत बेसिक चीज़ें हैं जिनके बेसिस पर क्लासिफिकेशन को और डेप्थ में आइडेंटिफाई किया जाता है, कैटेगराइज किया जाता है. देन बायोकेमिकल, दैट इज on the basis of the chemical substances present into the organisms, उनके basis पर classification किया जाता है animals का. And that is the biochemical analysis of protoplasm. Protoplasm जो body में organic substance है, it is a combination of substances rather. So उन chemical substances के study के basis पर biochemical systematics study किया जाता है. And the last is the and the most modern is the experimental systematics, that is deals with my identification of various evolutionary units with the species and the role in process of evolution. That is, here mutation is considered as a evolutionary unit. Mutation से कैसे evolution related है, इसको भी systematic में बहुत importance दिया गया. So this was all about the taxonomy, systematic, sorry. And now let us see the taxonomy. The word taxonomy was first coined by A.P. Candolle, initially for plants and subsequently changed to animals in 1813. This term taxonomy has been derived from two words. Greek taxis means arrangement and nomos means law. Lawful classification or lawful arrangement of the terms to describe an organism may be called as the taxonomy. So these are the this is another definition. According to Simpson, taxonomy is theoretical study of classification, including its basis, principle, procedure, and rules. So taxonomy is arrangement of organisms in orderly fashion. It is also systematic arrangement of plants and animals in particular fashion. Each species is the we can say the at present the final stage of identification of the organisms kept in the closet group. That is, एक species के जितने भी members हैं, they are capable of interbreeding. उनमें आपस में breeding process उनमें they are capable of interbreeding and the offsprings and producing fertile offsprings are the species. अभी हम इतना ही देखिए, जब हम क्लासिफिकेशन देखेंगे तो हम देखेंगे कि किस तरह से 7 स्टेप में स्पीसीज तक पहुंचते हैं क्लासिफिकेशन में. The species may exist in numerous different forms like sexes. जो species decide करने के लिए जो characters consideration में लाए जाते हैं, which are sexes, age, classes, seasonal forms, morphs, and other phenomena like behavioral, genetic, and biochemical observations to identify organisms. Now, abhi tak 1.78 rather million species of plants, animals, and microorganisms are yet identified over 250 years, but 5 to 30 million species are yet to be identified. So we can see it is evident कितना broader aspect है इसका identification या classification का. A species is a potentially interbreeding group of living organisms producing a fertile offspring. So this is the taxonomy. Now the basic concept of taxonomy is divided into two major level: older concept and the modern concept. Older concept was explained by Aristotle, Plato, and Hippocrates. They were rather naturalists, कोई scientist नहीं थे, कोई बहुत पढ़े लिखे degree holder नहीं थे. They were the naturalists, stated the nature provides variations to animal were very from each other. They can vary. कैसे animals vary कर सकते हैं, उनका basis उनका बहुत simple था. That is grouping of winged and unwinged insects, बाईपोडा, दो पैर वाले, चार पैर वाले, इस तरह के similarities and differences को उन्होंने अपने consideration में लिया. Then came the modern concept, that is in 17th century. Linnaeus stated his own terminology and was considered as father of taxonomy in 1735. This nomenclature was given to his book Systema Naturalis, जिसके लिए उनको बहुत ज़्यादा फेम मिला, बहुत ज़्यादा awards and मिले, बहुत authentication and recognition मिला. This concept aimed the understanding, identification, and proper arrangement of animals, but also included the study of history of their development and evolution. और भी branches include किए गए इस study में after Linnaeus. He further divided into three working groups: classification, identification, and nomenclature. तो तीन और working group taxonomy के लिए divide किया गया. So these are the three working group of or the stages of taxonomy: alpha taxonomy, beta taxonomy, and gamma taxonomy. This is the patronymic diversity according to landscape scale. अगर हम देखें तो this is the entire area is the entire coverage is of gamma taxonomy, whereas this intraspecific relationship is alpha taxonomy, and this interspecific relationship is beta taxonomy. So the species are identified and characterized on basis of gross morphological structures: alpha taxonomy. Beta taxonomy, species are arranged from lower to higher categories, that is the hierarchic system. And then gamma taxonomy, the intraspecific differences and evolutionary ancestry together are studied, forming the gamma taxonomy. So these are the stages of taxonomy. Now comes the trends in biosystematics and taxonomy together. अगर अब हम दोनों को मिला के पढ़ें तो किस तरह से आगे ट्रेंड्स डेवलप किए गए टैक्सोनॉमी इनको स्टडी करने के लिए, बायोसिस्टमैटिक्स एंड टैक्सोनॉमी को एक्सप्लेन करने के लिए किस तरह से ट्रेंड्स acquired किए गए. Those are mainly three: chemotaxonomy, cytotaxonomy, and molecular taxonomy. These three trends were acquired. The animals were studied on basis of morphology, which are now called as biological species. Later attention was paid in different species, subspecies, subgroups, etc. or further splitting हुआ. And then the study of animal included study of genetics, heredity, biochemical, and other characters along with morphology. And this idea provided knowledge of actual structure and history of development of studies in three lines of taxonomic phase. First is chemotaxonomy. That is, this technique is applicable on plants and animals mainly. जिसमें कैंडोले ने पहले यूज किया this method to identify closely related species. Actually biochemical substances जो बॉडी में हैं, biochemical metabolites, जो metabolic activities एक organism का उनमें help करते हैं, उनमें complex changes लाते हैं. It was now studied by this time, and on the basis of these studies, a number of proteins, nucleic acids, enzymes, hormones, carbohydrates, etc. were found in body of an organism, which were called as primary metabolites. Secondary metabolites and accessory metabolites are observed in small quantity, and diversity or differences in these substances can play important role in classification. This has been studied. Then the second stage is the cytotaxonomy. Second trend used or applied was cytotaxonomy. That is cytological cell related study की गई और उसके basis पर similarities and dissimilarities के basis पर cytological approach of taxonomy is the cytotaxonomy. How cytology, that is the study of chromosomes, also is involved here, makes the task of taxonomist easy. It is studied in following steps. तीन steps में cytotaxonomy को apply किया गया: the genetic complements, cardiological studies, and histochemical studies. Genetic complements by comparing the genome, that is the DNA in nucleus, and plasmid DNA in cytoplasmic organelles. जिनमें न्यूक्लियस वेल डिफाइंड नहीं है उनका जीनोम प्लाज्मिक स्टडी किया गया, जहाँ पे न्यूक्लियस है वेल डिफाइंड वहाँ पे जीनोम की स्टडी की गई, दैट इज द डीएनए अमाउंट. It is believed that DNA, the hereditary material, is its amount per chromosome set is constant for each species, and इसी basis को apply किया गया genetic taxonomy के लिए. Then cardiological studies, that is the karyotype, that is study of nucleus, is characterized by chromosome number, size, and morphology, and it is a definite and constant character of each species. तो इसके basis पर taxonomical classification भी किया गया, that is nucleus की position chromosome के number पे. And the final was the histochemical studies, when some same kind of tissues of different animal species may exhibit apparently the same functions. Histochemical difference between them may be observed, which would be of taxonomic value. Then the third trend is molecular taxonomy, the most modern, the hybridization method. It is the classification of organisms on the basis of distribution and composition of chemical substances in the form of molecules into them. This can be differentiated on basis of amino acid sequence in the protein of an organism, and their differences can be found in different species. अलग-अलग species में molecular condition study करके और molecular level पर taxonomy को apply किया गया. And this molecular taxonomy was term was used by Line in 1964, and it is further supported by Turner in 1966, who divided molecular taxonomy in two parts, that is micromolecular taxonomy and macromolecular taxonomy. As the name says, micromolecular, that is stresses upon distribution and biosynthetic interrelationship of small molecular weight compounds like amino acids, terpenes, etc., which are commonly called as secondary compounds. Whereas macromolecular taxonomy is considered with polymeric molecules like RNA, DNA, polysaccharides, and proteins. Now, the techniques used for this molecular taxonomy are important techniques are DNA and protein sequencing, immunological methods, DNA-DNA or DNA-RNA hybridization method. So these are the most modern methods on which the taxonomy has been studied. So based on this overall description, we can conclude the following points: that taxonomy is the science of defining and naming groups of biological groups of organisms on basis of shared characteristics. Systematics is the science of naming and organizing organisms based on common ancestry. In a systematic taxonomy, all of the species in a genus are more related to one another than to any other species. The systematic, the spelling is a bit, the systematic is, it will be systematic. Systematic. This is the correct spelling. So the other points are the taxonomic system introduced by Linnaeus, improved by many other taxonomists, considered basic possible information storage and retrieval concerning plants and plant products. Previously, सबसे पहले जब बायोलॉजी पे स्टडी शुरू हुई है तो इट इज़ वेल नोन कि प्लांट एंड प्लांट प्रोडक्ट्स पर ही शुरू हुई है. मेंडलिज्म के समय से प्लांट्स पर बहुत सारी स्टडी शुरू हुई हैं, स्वीट पीस पर एंड देन पीस पे, and a number of those studies also played a role in taxonomy and systematics. Linnaeus considered the nature to divine creation, and his original belief was systematic pattern, which has been explained as on the basis of divine creation. Latter post-Darwinian botanists have mostly interpreted it as resulting from evolution. It means systematics. The today many taxonomists regard systematics as the art of tracing similarities between taxa, combining them into larger groups and hypothesizing about their evolution. This is the systematics overall. The number of taxonomic features available to linears was very limited. The gradual refinement of technical equipments has both widened the scope of morphological study and facilitated the introduction of ancillary sciences like anatomy, embryology, serology, that is the study of proteins, the cytotaxonomy, genetics, palynology, that is specifically done in and that by the study and size and shape and number of the pollen grains in the plants, that also played a very important role in taxonomy of plant taxonomy, then chemotaxonomy, etc., etc. These branches have provided a number of few character sets, the incorporation of which has been facilitated by methodologies like numeral taxonomy, cladistics, and DNA hybridization. So these are the points, the conclusive points based on these facts. The biological classification has been considered as a critical interest of having a components of taxonomic process. This taxonomic process may be shown here. This is the systematics, the phylogenetics, and phonetics. Phonetics is the study of character, and the phylogenetic is the study of evolutionary history. That is, this is the time, along with the time, the conditions evolved, some of the forms got extinct, and the character one level evolved, then character two level evolved, and this is the isolation and drift. These are the evolutionary processes that finally hybridization, integration, these are the steps after which the final classification has been authenticated, classification or taxonomy has been established. And so this is another presentation of systematics, and it includes taxonomy, which includes the identification, determination, classification, and nomenclature. So this is, in short, the presentation of the taxonomy and systematics. Biological systematics. Now, in the next topic, our next topic is the classification. That is another very important aspect of the taxonomy and therefore of the biological systematics. This is the biological systematics, a summary showing relationship between taxonomy, classification, and nomenclature. This is the biological systematics. This is the classification that is based on nomenclature, and this is the taxonomy. So this is now in the last, and the last but not least, these are the sites which you can go if you want. The study of taxonomy, systematics, classification, evolution are very interesting branches. Tree की तरफ लगता है पढ़ते चले जाएं. These were some of the sites that those I have consulted, and a lot of sites I was going on getting, but जिनसे मैंने अपना नोट्स बनाया, ये नोट जो आपको मैं प्रेजेंट कर रही हूँ, इट इज वेरी comprehensive note. If you want to know the details, want to study, you can go through these sites: pedia.com, bbau.ac.in, jivaji.edu. It was a very interesting site. RL College edu.edu.in. This site was also very much helpful, having widened knowledge of taxonomy and systematics. Then Wikipedia and zoology notes and biology discussion. These are, of course, the common sites used for general studies, and some images I have consulted, and www.tustate.edu. So with this ends today's topic. I hope you would have you would like it, you will like it. If you find any comment, if you want any classification, any explanation, please let me know in chat box. If you want to discuss any specific topic with more details, please let me know. So thank you